All right, so here's why your ads are not working. Now, I always get this question all the time. Wanila, I tried to do this didn't work. Wanila, I tried to do this, I got bad quality leads. Wanila, I tried to do this and I just wasted a whole lot of money. And look, I totally understand, guys. Many of you guys maybe try to do it yourself and things didn't go the way that you expected it to turn out. So I'm actually going to be walking you through that when you actually start to run ads, okay? Because that's the first part of attracting leads, right? We need to run ads, then we have landing pages to qualify them, then we etc. etc. But I'm going to walk you through my 3 or 4 main critical numbers or 3 or 4 main critical steps that I look into when the ads are not working. So listen very closely because this could definitely help you if you're running ads or could help you in future when you start running ads, okay? So if we're looking at ads, I should just erase this, okay? All right, so what's important to understand, guys, is that when you are running ads, I need you to help you understand this distinction. I should zoom it in here. All right, guys, when we are looking at an ad, all right, what makes truly a good ad? Now, of course, we've got, for example, brand awareness ads, which I like to speak about in my masterclasses. And then we've got direct response ads. And that's typically the type of ads that we like to run. We like to run direct response ads. Why? Because we want a direct response. Okay, that's exactly what we want. We want a direct response. What is that direct response that we want? We want them to give us their information. Okay, so normally in this industry, you have, for example, 90% of agents that run brand awareness ads, and then you've got my clients where 10% of them are running direct response ads. Now, the reason why your ads could not be working could really boil down to these core things, okay? Number one, you're either running a brand awareness ad, okay? That could be number one. But let's say you're not running a brand awareness ad. Let's say you are running a direct response ad. What could be another reason? Okay, some high level reasons as to why your ad could not be working. Number two, definitely your offer, okay? Which I'm gonna break down. Or number three, for example, and this is what I've noticed, is it's a mixture either between your budget, your process, or your audience size. So let's cover each one. All right. So I spoke about brand awareness ads, direct response ads. The reason why I don't like brand awareness ads is because there's no call to action. For those who don't know, CTA, for example, is, hey, if you would like to get a free valuation, click on the link below and I'll walk you through the next steps. That's a call to action, like where are you leading them to? Most brand awareness ads is we've been in the industry for 20 years and that's it. Like, what are we doing there? You get what I'm saying? So direct response ads, the reason why I like them is because they they evoke curiosity, okay? It gets them to click, all right? And there's a call to action. So we ensure that there's a call to action that's going to lead or drive them to the next step, which is going to be the landing page, all right? So that's the reason why I like direct response ads. So now, the reason why your ad is not working is because you most definitely have a terrible offer. So what do I mean by having a terrible offer? An offer that your market doesn't want. So let me give you an offer that I used to run when I first started working with real estate agents. My first offer when I started working with real estate agents, because I need to get my name out there, I said that, look, I will pay for your ads, I will run your ads, I will do all the heavy lifting, and if you don't get any results, I will pay you 1,500 Rand for wasting your time. So look at it this way, guys. The agent is not lifting a finger whatsoever. The agent is not doing anything whatsoever. All right? And I will take on the risk. I will do all the work. And if they still don't get results, I will then pay them for wasting their time. But if it does work, all I ask in exchange is for a video testimonial. And I'm glad to say that I have never paid any agent 1.5 because it worked, all right? Because I knew that the offer was bulletproof and I knew the results that we could provide would be absolutely amazing. Okay, I'm actually just trying to figure out which camera to look into, so I'm gonna look into this camera over here. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that if your ads are not working, you need to check your offer, right? Is your offer irresistible? Many agents don't have an irresistible offer, right? Some of the offers we like to run, if we're trying to attract sellers, is a CMA report, a comparative market analysis, because we're trying to attract sellers that are thinking of selling or those who are ready to sell. So the comparative market analysis, we ideally like to give away a free comparative market analysis in exchange for the information, and this is where we can start the conversation. Is that an irresistible offer? No, it's not. But we've noticed that's what works, so hence why we like to utilize it. Personally, if it were up to me, if I was a real estate agent, I will create a ridiculous offer where if I don't sell you a house in the next 30 days, I will pay you 10,000 Rand for wasting your time. And I can tell you right now, that's the best way for me to actually get more sold mandates. But I would only take on clients that I'm confident would sell in the next 30 days. If I'm not confident, I will not make that offer. So you need to understand that when it comes, for example, your offer, you need to make sure that it's something that you can back up, okay? Because if you can't, then you're going to be in trouble, right? And I don't want you guys to say, oh, Wandile said I must make a ridiculous offer. No, it's not the case. All right, cool. Now, if your ad is not working, and let's say you've got a good offer, you're running a direct response ad and your ads aren't still working, it's gonna go to either these three: your budget, your process, or the audience size. Okay, so budget, how much are you spending? So if you're in South Africa, we typically like to advocate for you to spend at least about 100 to about 200 bucks per day. Okay, now this is all dependent on your audience size. So let's say you live in an area where your market, or let's say there's about 10,000 people that live in that area. That is too small for us, because then your budget will be very limited to reach these people, or enough people for you to get consistent results. So you need to make sure and check that your audience size is at least minimum about or above 40,000 people. If it's above 40,000 people, perfect, we're good to go. All right, if your budget is anywhere between 100 and 200 Rand, perfect. All right, so let's say your budget is perfect, everything is working out well, you are spending enough money, all right, and on top of that, you've got a good audience size, and you're still not getting good results. Let's say your cost per lead is very high, or things are just not working the way they should be. Then this is where I would then start to look into the process. So what do I mean by the process? What is your process from the time they see your ad? Okay, is it they go from your ad to, let's say, a lead form, to, let's say, a landing page, to, let's say, your calendar? Okay, is that the process, number one? Or do they go from, let's say, your ad to, let's say, conditional logic on your lead form, and then let's say they go to the landing page and then they book in a Calendly? So what have I highlighted here? Okay, I've added in a few steps. So look at this. This is step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, step number 4. Now look here, step number 1, step number 2, that's essentially step number 3, step number 4, step number 5. Can you see there's an additional step here? So what I've noticed in this particular process is that when you add more steps, your cost per lead starts to rise. Okay, when you add more steps, your cost per lead starts to rise. But when you decrease the steps, I've noticed your cost per leads starts to decrease. So it all just really depends in terms of what is your process, what are your steps, because then if you have too many steps, like let's say in your conditional logic, for those who don't know, conditional logic is basically where you would ask the lead, hey, how soon are you looking to sell? If they say, I'm looking to sell within 6 months, then you can say, okay, if somebody says within 6 months, ask them this question, right? You're adding in more steps. It's like, for example, you're adding in an extra layer to the maze in order for the customer to find you. Sometimes you'd find people that are eager and ready to go, and then you sometimes gonna find people that are not eager and they just want to move forward, right? They don't want to go through all these hoops and bounds. So I understand why some of you guys will have conditional logic because you want to safeguard and make sure you're getting the right quality leads. But I can tell you that most oftentimes it's also going to turn off people because they have to go through this entire process. So my suggestion then personally is I would say test out both steps, look at the cost per lead. But now here's the thing, if your cost per lead, let's say is $50, when you have step number 1 and your cost per lead, for example, is $80 with step number 2, but you get better quality leads with step number 2, then it's fine. Stick with step number 2. Guys, think about this for a second. I'm going to put a pause here on this timer so my alarm doesn't go off. All right. If you're spending $80 for one lead, but it's higher quality, and let's say 1 out of every 5 leads you close, you're still making a good profit. Okay. Let me really put this into context. You're spending, let's say, $200 per day. Okay? And remember I said, you close 1 out of every 5 leads. So you run ads for about 5 days, and in 5 days, you get 5 leads. All right? The cost per lead was about $80. So 80 times 5. What's 80 times 5, guys? 8, 16, 24, 32. Is it 40? If I'm not mistaken. I stand to be corrected. Let me actually add in the calculator here, guys. Let's add this baby in quickly. 80 times 5. There we go. Yeah, it's 40. All right. So you spend $400. Okay? You spend $400 over 5 days, but then you closed 1 lead. Let's say this was a buy campaign, for example. All right? And now your COM, let's say, is 40 grand. Look at that ROI, guys. 40K and you spend $400. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, is many of you really need to look at a long-term perspective. The money that you're making long-term, you're still gonna win regardless. You just need to stop looking at this perspective of, oh, my cost per lead is $50. If the quality is good, then you have nothing to worry about. Okay? But let's say if your cost per lead is very high and the quality is still bad, then you want to be taking a look into what I like to call your, see if I can move this here, your CTR. Just add this in here. Your CTR, I like to look at the CTR. Why? Because the CTR, if your CTR is anywhere between 1 to 2%, then you're good to go. But if it's below, for example, 1 to 2%, then what that basically tells me is that your ad image is not performing the way that it should be, which means it's not getting enough clicks. Guys, remember, your ad is all about attracting the right audience. So if your audience is not clicking on your ad, or if you don't have enough audiences clicking on your ad, then that could be the reason as to why your cost per lead is very high, because you're not getting enough people to click on your ad, which means you're not getting enough people to go through the entire process. So my core focus for you, and this is what I would suggest, is take a look at first at your CTR, then take a look at your cost per lead, and then take a look at your process, and then take a look at the budget, take a look at the audience, and take a look at the offer. It's multiple different testing points that you need to look into. But these are some of the things that we typically like to look at first before we start to diagnose, or before we start to take action or testing a few things and seeing what works. Anyways, guys, if you got a lot of value from this, please feel free to share this with another real estate agent that's struggling right now with their ads. And let me know what else you guys want to see in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.